the number one reason that you keep losing in tournaments is because your training camp is illogical. It makes absolutely no sense. You think maybe if I just train harder and I train really, really hard and I do more live rounds, then I will be a great competitor. And the truth is, that is not the truth. That is not how it goes. You do not just go and win in the gym and then that translates to winning in competition. Jiu-jitsu is a game. It is a sport. And just like any other sport, you have to learn how to play the game, but you also have to learn how to prepare for the game. Imagine if NFL teams only practiced by lining up against each other and playing live games over and over and over. They don't do that. They do scenarios just like every other sport. Very, very few sports are ever practiced simply by playing the game from beginning to end over and over and over. The more you think about jiu-jitsu and how big it is, the more you have to say, well, if I'm going to be a competitor and I have a certain amount of time to dedicate to jiu-jitsu competition each week, I need to be efficient in what I'm doing. I need to be smart about, there's 1,000 different positions I could be learning. There's 1,000 different positions I could be working. What if I decided to find the 3 positions that are most likely to happen in a jiu-jitsu competition? I focus on getting good at making those 3 positions happen, and then I focus on winning from those 3 positions. And then I've really simplified how a tournament can go. The problem is nobody really thinks this way or even explains to you that it's so much easier to compete when you think about it in small parts. And that's what we're going to really look at today. We're going to look at taking a jiu-jitsu training camp and saying, okay, there are 7 weeks, 6 weeks until this tournament, and I want to go ahead and get a really good competition and I want to win this competition. I want to, if we really define the goal, I want to perform at my best. Yes, of course, we all want to win. Of course, we want the result of winning. But really, from ourselves, all we can really hope to do is to perform in the moment at the best of our ability. You can't help if you're a white belt and you're fighting a black belt in a competition. All you can hope to do is to perform at your best. And today we're going to look at 9 other reasons as to why you are struggling to perform at your best in competition, why you keep leaving competitions saying, I just didn't feel like myself. I just don't get to do my jiu-jitsu. And why you're struggling like so many other jiu-jitsu people. And so we will get into all that next.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
I guess to suck less.
The diabolical leader of the Vietnam squad.
Hey everybody, this is Josh McKinney, American Jiu-Jitsu Black Belt and the host of the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show. And I just want to welcome you to our newest episode where we're going to look at the top 10 reasons that you keep losing in jiu-jitsu tournaments or in jiu-jitsu super fights. Now, the first one was that your training camp is illogical. And obviously that's very broad. It's a really hard fix to just say, oh, fix your training camp. And so some of these next ones are going to kind of be little pieces of why your training camp sucks. The biggest thing that I see, the biggest mistake that I see with training camps is that people do not have performance days. People have this idea that every day of training is about performing at your best. And that is just not the case. That's not how performance works. You cannot perform at your best 100% of the time, all the time. There's this rule in, I've heard it for Olympic sports, for Olympic athletes, and they call it the rule of thirds. And if you are training all the time, you are, really high level at your sport. The rule of thirds says in practice, you are going to have a third of your practice feel absolutely amazing. Third of the times you show up, you are going to dominate. You're going to be at your best. Your heart and your mind, they're going to work in one, and you are going to be the perfect athlete. Then there's going to be a third of the days that you're about average. You're like, man, I don't feel great, but I don't feel terrible. I can still do a lot of what I normally can do, but I'm not operating at that top level. But then there's a third of your days that are going to feel absolutely horrible in your training, that mentally you're going to be like, I don't deserve to be an Olympic athlete. I'm terrible. I can't perform at all. I can't function the way that I want. I don't feel good. I feel like I'm in quicksand when I'm trying to perform whatever my task is. And the rule of thirds says that that's what you want to be a high-level athlete. If you can get that ratio, if you can just make sure it's not like 2/3 of the day or 2/3 of the time that you're terrible, right? If you can get that ratio, then you're going to be good. Then you don't need to worry about having bad practices, as long as they're just not all bad practices, right? And so there is, let me just define a performance day before we get deeper into this. So this is this idea that so many people struggle in competition because they expect it to be like it is in the gym, and it is not like it is in the gym. And the idea of a performance day is, what if we took one day a week, or even if it's too hard on our body, one day every 2 weeks. So we take one day a week and we're going to dedicate this to actually pretending to be in a competition. I'm going to show up. I'm going to warm up. I'm going to only do live rounds from the feet. I'm going to take a break in between those rounds instead of going, okay, 10-second break and I'll go a new partner, because that's not how a competition is, right? In a competition, you have the 15 minutes of panic in between matches where you're going, I'm tired. Oh no, I'm this, I'm that. And you're not used to ever having that, because all you ever do is you do fives and you do a minute rest, and you're like, oh yeah, this is what a tournament is. It's not. You're not pretending. You're not trying to make it seem like a tournament simulation. And so when I say that the reason that you are losing for most people, it's because in their training, every day is a performance day, meaning every day is about winning. That's not how you get better. It's different mindsets. There is a learner's mindset and there is a performance mindset. They're not the same thing. The learner lets themselves go into places that they normally wouldn't want to be in. They let themselves explore. They let themselves lose. The performer is the opposite. The performer says, you've got to beat me in every single layer. I will not relinquish anything, right? I am going to do this all at once at my best. And when you think about it, we don't practice that part of jiu-jitsu. The only remedy to this for a competitor, if you struggle with this, that there has ever been, in my opinion, has been like, oh, we'll just go compete all the time. Just compete every weekend. And like the guys that have really struggled, even for myself, that seems to be the only way that they've been able to deal with a lot of times the mental hurdles too that come with competition. But it seems like the only way that they end up dealing with competition is having having a bunch of competitions, right? And then all of a sudden it clicks. Well, here's what I'm telling you. You can pretend at the gym once a week that you are going to be in a competition that day. You go with people that ideally are at your skill and size, if possible. If not, you know, all this stuff is, we're kind of Frankensteining our training room to fit what we need, right? And so you find the training partners that are going to push you. You do rounds that are the same length as the rounds you're competing. You play to the same rule set as the tournament you plan on doing in the next 6 weeks. You make sure that you are getting rest in between rounds, and you make sure that you are focused on winning. Meaning, like, if you pass the guy's guard and you're in side control, and in a tournament, you would just put a bunch of pressure on him and lay on him and make him make a move. But in the gym, you're like, oh, well, I'm trying to submit guys because, you know, I'm trying to get things moving and keep that. Nah, not today. Not on performance day. You're focused. You're trying to win. And the goal is that then when people always talk about like, oh, I can't flip the switch when it comes to competition. Well, my question is, do you practice? Do you practice flipping the switch? Or do you simply go into every training session like it's all the exact same thing, and then you go into a competition like it's something completely different? How in the world are you going to learn to flip the switch? What you do is you take certain training sessions and you go, we are going to simulate this tournament. We're going to simulate this competition. It's best if you have the group knowing that we're all coming in to perform on this day because we're all trying to become better competitors. I think you can practice so much of the other stuff that we're going to talk about simply by having a performance day. And so I don't think I've ever done a full episode on it, but I could easily do a full episode on the value of a performance day and how much it's changed things for me, my competitors, and especially when it comes to mindset. It's like one of the easiest things. But the problem with the performance day, and this is the problem with so many people, is the mindset is, well, if one day is good, then 2 days are great. And then if 3 days are great, then 7 days a week of performance days are perfect. And if you do that, you have no performance days. You're going to fall back into that routine of some of your days are good, some of your days are bad, some of your days are good, some of your days are bad, and you really won't be focused on performing. When you separate it from the other training sessions, it makes that performance, it works. And so then you ask, but Josh, but what about all the other training sessions? If I only trying to win one day, what am I just doing? Drilling the rest of the days? No. I'm glad you asked, though. Yo, so I got a new gi. It's really, really sick. Datsusara just sent me their fun gi number 2 and has a color stitching that I've never really seen before. It just, the gi looks really cool. The obviously whatever artist they had design it took special care on this, and it's just such a unique design. I have worn it twice now, and I have probably gotten 20 different comments on the gi. Everybody's like, hey, why is this shiny? Can I touch this? Can I put on your gi top? Can I choke you with this a little bit? And so it's definitely been the talk of the town. Only problem I had is I trained in it the other day, jump in the car. It's like one of the last nice days of the year out. And so I got the windows down, jump in the car, still gi on, still sweaty. I got leather seats, no big deal. And I'm going to drive home. And on my way home, I end up having to roll up the windows because women were literally just trying to jump in to the car because they were so impressed by this Datsusara gi. And so if that interests you, if being, the coolest looking person on the mat interests you, being in one of the most comfortable gis that there is interests you, be sure to check out Datsusara. Be sure to check out dsgear.com and use promo code I suck at checkout, and you'll get 10% off of your gi, your backpack, whatever you want from them. But be sure to check them out. Reason number 3 you keep losing in your jiu-jitsu competitions is that you don't understand volume days. And this is something, the performance day thing, saying I'm going to choose one day a week that is a performance day, means that you're saying not every other day is a performance day, right? And so what else are you going to do? This is where this idea of volume days comes in. This is how most of my training is, and this is kind of my favorite way to train. There's different types of volume days, and we'll look at those in a second. But just the simple kind of idea of it is that when I do performance days, I get this litmus test once a week that says, hey, what's working for me and what's not? So when I realize, okay, well, maybe this move is working for me, maybe Kimura is kind of working for me on my performance days, well, I can focus on getting better at Kimuras by just getting a ton of reps of Kimuras on my volume days. How does that look? This looks like, maybe for some people, it's actually just drilling because their bodies are so beat up. We can always lower the intensity in anything that I'm talking about, even performance days. We can lower our intensity. Like maybe it's us going hard, but maybe to protect our body, we're thrashing small children white belts, and that can be our performance day just because you're so beat up and you can't perform any other way until the competition. And so you can always keep the same scope but reduce the intensity. You don't have to go so hard in any of these things. And so volume day is a perfect example of that. I would rather myself just get reps, be efficient, right? Even if it means you're getting passed 10 times more, even if it means you're getting swept 10 times more, who cares? It's not about performing today. It's not about winning today. It's about getting better at jiu-jitsu. And we know what we need to get better at because we were very focused by having performance days. And so, this idea of volume days, it can go so much deeper, but I would say the simplest thing to point out is that there are going to be coaches that do that, and purple belts, just people that are higher level in their gym that'll go, hey, I kind of do this already. When I want to learn a new move, I just go, well, I watched 3 videos on how to do this move, and now I'm going to go start hitting it at live rounds. That's not how most people get to train, right? But if you're a lot better than everybody in the room, it's the smartest way to train for you, because you could just go, well, I'm going to style on everybody today, and I'm going to get 1 rep of 25 cool different moves, right? Or you go, I'm going to get 25 reps of the same move in live rounds that people know is coming. What do you think? Which person do you think gets better in that scenario? The person with focus. And so volume days are just saying, hey, I'm coming in with a focus and I am going to get better at that focus. And I'm going to use repetition. I'm going to get as many reps as possible. Even if it turns into designated winner for you, even if you're just having the person simulate resistance and not giving you really strong resistance, it can still be better that way. And so let's move on to number 4, because I already kind of hinted at it. So this will bring us, this will kind of go full circle with volume days. But number 4, the 4th reason that you keep losing in jiu-jitsu competition is your training days are never focused. Meaning you don't have volume days, you don't have performance days, but even in your volume days, even days where you get a bunch of reps, you don't have a move in mind, a position in mind, a thought. It is just, I am going to show up and beat people up. And again, we talked about this, is like the mindset that winning in the gym translates to winning in competition is wrong. It is not that way. And so winning in competition is a completely different beast. And so you have to learn how to do that. And I think it's so easy for people to get hung up on, no, I can never relinquish anything. I can never let you beat me in any position. And you always have to be careful when talking about offense and defense, because I'm also not saying, okay, so on your defensive volume days, you're just trying to not get submitted and you lay in bottom side control and you grab both hands on your lapels, because that would lose you a competition. So that wouldn't make sense anyway. We call it offense or we call it defense, but the truth is, when you're doing jiu-jitsu, you should always be defending yourself. Your arms aren't just out flailing around, right? If your hands aren't on the person, generally your elbows are tight. You're protecting yourself. And so there is defense tied into every movement. The offensive side, though, is more of this idea of, well, we're always trying to fight for a little bit better. A little bit better. Oh, I have side control. What if I had an underhook? Oh, I have an underhook. What if it was deeper? Oh, man, I have a deep underhook. What if I had his head too? Now that I have his head in this underhook, what if I was in mount and I had his hips too, right? And you're just incrementally getting better. No thing that I described was a crazy move, right? 3 of them were from the exact same position. And so you go like, you're always looking to better your position no matter what. And it's just how jiu-jitsu works. But there are defensive points in a jiu-jitsu match. Maybe when you are ahead on points and you fall off a mount, there's a scramble and you're like, man, I'm in bottom side control, but I'm still ahead on points. Can you survive that? Can you incrementally get back to a better position, right? If it's tied and you're in a bad position, can you incrementally get back to a better position? And so this idea of having, if you're able to have volume days that are some offensive and some defensive, some saying, hey, I got hit with an armbar from mount every single time today in my performance day. And that's how I lost every round. So there's a few ways you can look at it. One, you start to positional spar mount. You say, well, I just need to learn how to not get armbarred from here first. And you get a ton of volume on it. And the second thing is you could start to look at and say, well, instead of doing a positional spar mount, I got passed directly to mount every single time. Well, a defensive day would be, well, I'm just going to play open guard. I'm not going to overly focus on grips. I'm just going to focus on not letting people pass. And I'm going to keep them in my guard and see if I can work my guard retention, right? And that's like the idea of, that's more of a defensive volume day. It's not realistic for competition. You would never say, I'm going to just stop playing guard. I'm just going to retain in a competition. You would go, no, I'll tie him up. I'll throw up a submission. I'll throw up a sweep. I'll stand up. I'll do something, right? The idea is you don't want to have to rely on your guard retention. But in the same way, it's like in the training room, you can remove all these other parts of your game. So then you can just focus in and laser in on one part of your game, like retaining guard. And you found that it's this huge hole that you have. And so your volume days are built around, how do I get better at guard retention? The questions you ask are built around, how do I get better at guard retention? And so if these ideas of having certain days and having a structure to, especially training camps, make sense to you, then I have my handbook that I just wrote. It's called The Competitor's Journey. It is 3 actual training camps. So these are like design training camps. You'll be able to just plug and play into your next competition. There's one for if you can only dedicate 2 days a week to jiu-jitsu. There's one for if you are kind of like a normal hobbyist type person. And then there's one for professionals too. But really, it's just what'll be cool is you'll be able to Frankenstein those 3 together to fit exactly what your life is and exactly what your competition goals are. And so, and it's free. So the Competitor's Journey is at simplifyingjujitsu.com. It is completely free. It will give you way more depth to the content that I just kind of glossed over there about offensive, defensive days, about volume days, about performance days. There's actually a few other types of days that they'll get into, that we get into in that book. And I really think you guys will enjoy that. And what do you have to lose? It's free. Links in the description. Sign up for it really quick. And I'm telling you, you will love it. It's not long at all. It's like 15 pages long. It's slightly funny. It's worth reading. I'm telling you guys, you will like it. And there is no doubt to me that you cannot read that and not become a better competitor. You will just think about competing in a different way. You know, I started competing 17 years ago, and I've coached guys for 10 years. I've coached competitors for 10 years, and had my own gym for 10 years. And so I have in that time gotten so many reps of preparation for tournaments, preparation with a team for tournaments, getting people to prepare for tournaments. And it wasn't until, just a couple months ago that I was like, oh, we have it locked in. This is locked in a way that no one else is explaining and no one else is making easy for people to be able to compete like a professional athlete and not a professional jiu-jitsu athlete, because most professional jiu-jitsu athletes just abuse a bunch of drugs and that's the method. But in sports where there's actually testing and that can't be the training method, you have to be really smart about how you train. And that is what the competitor's journey really is a really smart way to get you to the competition performing at your best. And it's just, there are things that will blow your mind that we talk about in that book. But anyway, number 5 reason that you keep losing is that you have not signed up for the competitor's journey. Just kidding. The number 5 reason that you keep losing is that you think positional sparring is scenario sparring. And so back to the thing where we were talking about performance days. Performance days are really just a game of pretend, and you trick yourself into that you're preparing for this hard thing that you've been preparing for, but that hard thing is that day. And you pretend that it's that day, even though it's not, even though you're at your gym, or you're at a buddy's gym, you just pretend. And it has this crazy power that can come with it. That little bit of pretending just has this like superpower that it can make you go like, I really am in a tournament. I really am in a tournament. And then when it's actually time to be in a tournament, you go, I'm used to this. I've done this a million times, even though you haven't, even though the times you've done it were just at your gym, but you pretended to do it and it made a huge difference. The other thing that you can do is we always talk about positional spars. And to me, simplest and most effective training method to share with somebody is a positional spar. Start from here, end there. Go. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. You learn how to play that little part of the game. And your training partner does too. So generally you're both getting better as you're messing with it. Now, there's a difference though. There's something else I really like. And it's this idea of the scenario spar. So instead of just like, there is a difference between especially we have a bunch of competitors in the room, and I teach smashed half guard. The rounds will be significantly different if I say, hey guys, we're going to do smashed half guard and we're going to do 2 minutes on top, and then we'll just switch top to bottom. And just make sure to get some reps of your pass. Try to win your round, do your best. That. Versus, hey guys, we're going to do 2 rounds from smashed half guard. The top person is winning by 1 point. 2 minutes left in the match. Go. And then you switch top to bottom. Top person also, again, winning by 1 point. Why? Why does it change? Well, because the points change how you play the game. In a real tournament, no one in their right mind on top cares about the guard pass. If I'm in smashed half and I'm winning on points, you made a mistake. It's your job to take a risk. Why would I take a risk? But in the gym, we always prep for, well, this guy wants to learn and do jiu-jitsu too. He's just going to walk right into my guard. He doesn't care if my guard's dangerous because he cares about passing. Nah, not in competition. He's just not going to engage at all. He just won't give you anything. He's going to make you overreach. Do you ever do that? Because if he does, if he gets you to do that, then you're in trouble again, right? And so this idea is you add certain scenarios to your training and it lets you prepare for competition. If you don't know what scenarios, well, why are you listening to this episode? When's the last time you lost? What happened? Did you end up in side control with 2 minutes left where you were down by 1 point and you had no chance of escaping? Well, brother, let's not just positional spar side control. We do that, but let's also start to situational spar it. Like scenario spar. Tell my training partner, hey, you're going to be up by a point and I want you to really pretend you're up by a point. Like, do not let me win this. And then I've got to figure out ways to deal with it. And again, I get reps of the scenario. I don't just get reps of the position. And reps of the position is how you get better at jiu-jitsu. I'm not saying don't get reps at the position. I'm just saying that for actual wins in competition, it's not just about being good at jiu-jitsu. And I know that people want it to be. I know that I want it to be. I wish that it was. But it just is not that way. It is about performing. It's about being able to perform at your best in that moment in that rule set with every other thing that's going on. That's what we're trying to play a game of. That's what we're trying to see. And so when we start to focus on scenario sparring, a lot of times for people, it is really a game changer. Next, we'll look at, we talked about, and this is why I love that performance day thing, is because there's so many facets to it. And one of them is the litmus test of it. You now know what to work. So number 6, you don't win jiu-jitsu matches because you don't study tapes, you just watch highlights. The jiu-jitsu mats are really gross if you really think about it. I try to not think about it. I've actually run into this problem of writing commercials for my friends at Sports Hygiene. It's so hard to write commercials because if I just really am honest with people and we all just sat for a second and we think about how gross the jiu-jitsu mats are, we marinate on that thought in the same way that we marinate on all of the body fluids of our friends. And then you hear about a product from Sports Hygiene. You hear about their product, Full Guard. And you hear about this idea of hypochlorous acid and how it can literally kill ringworm, it can kill staph, and it is good for your skin biome. And this idea that there is a spray that you could literally spray on in between rounds to protect your body from the grossness of the jiu-jitsu mats is unbelievable. And it just so happens that they love the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show and want to give a promo code to you guys, and that is promo code I Suck. And so at checkout, when you are getting your case of Full Guard to just douse your body in because of how gross the mats are, be sure to use promo code I Suck at checkout. Let's get back to the episode. You don't win jiu-jitsu matches because you don't study tapes. You just watch highlights. You don't study tape. You do not watch jiu-jitsu, whether an instructional or whether a tournament or whatever. You do not watch jiu-jitsu with the goal of it getting you better at jiu-jitsu. You do not watch jiu-jitsu with focus. You watch what's cool. Listen, I like to see what's cool. I like to see people do backflips, flying stuff, cool stuff like that. But that is not learning jiu-jitsu. If it's not something that you would do, it doesn't make sense to put your focus into, to split your attention. Focus on what you could be good at. And that's why, again, we have these days where you go, well, I'm hitting Kimuras. That's what I need to be focused on. And then what should you be watching? Probably videos about Kimuras, right? The people that struggle the most in jiu-jitsu, no matter how dedicated they are to showing up, are the people who do not focus. The people who do not focus are always going to be the people who study or struggle. Always. There is no way around it. You will struggle if you don't focus. If you do not have that mindset of, I am trying to get better at this specific thing. If you show up to get better in general, you will, but you will get better so slowly. You will probably quit because of how slow your progression is. You will probably think, I'm just terrible. I don't have it in me, but other people do. And that's not what it is. For 99% of people, it is simply that they are not focused on getting better. Day to day, consistently. They don't say, this is what I'm trying to get better at, and this is what I'm focused on. Like, for me, as somebody who is 17 years into jiu-jitsu, you will never, ever, 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 probably in the last 10 years, you will not have been able to ask me in any moment, what are you focused on in jiu-jitsu, and me not have a specific answer. That's why I am where I am. Is because of that focus, is because of that, because there's always something you could be getting better at or refining. Now, most of what my focus is like stuff that I've done for 17 years. And I'm like, oh, I'm just starting to get good at this now. I'm just starting to understand this now. And that happens with that constant refinement. But tape study is such a big part of that. Being able to see how other people were in the information age. You get to listen to a podcast of somebody. Do you know how beneficial it would have been for me to have the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show when I was coming up in Jiu-Jitsu? I mean, it would have changed everything. It's why I have this show. It's why I give this stuff out to you guys, is because I know that it would have changed probably the trajectory of competition for me. But not only that, it would have allowed me to do what my intention was in the first place, which was stay where I'm at, stay in the Midwest, stay under my coach, and not go to one of the big gyms that, at the time, all of my friends were going to. And one thing that kept me in the game was, kept me where I was at, was going, oh, well, I can at least study tape of the best guys. Even though I can't train with them, I'm not getting daily reps with them like some of these guys I'm competing against are. I can at least study their tape. I can see the cues, the little things that happen before the big things happen. I can find the little details that actually matter. I can just, I can learn so much from those things. And, now because there is so much access to information, it's that same thing of like, people won't be disciplined and have a focus and say, even though there's a million places that I could, even though there's a million moves I could learn, I'm going to stay focused on this until I am very good at it, until I am hitting this in competition. Because that is, man, if you look at competitors, the best competitors, there are a few guys that are actually just good at jiu-jitsu, that are able to be good from everywhere and beat basically everybody from everywhere, even at black belt. There are a few guys like that. And probably in every division, there are a few guys are probably just better than everybody in general. But if you pay attention to most of the time, the best competitors, they have like 3 to 5 moves. They just hit them on everybody. And then they don't get hit with anyone else's moves. And that's generally what makes them the best competitors. It's not that they have, the Swiss Army knife with that they have 40 different answers for everything. It's not. It's usually just that they're so good at their one answer that no matter what question you throw, their one answer is always the right answer. And you go, crap, this is what makes you good, is focusing on things, being obsessed on specific parts of jiu-jitsu, and then getting so good that you turn the game into just those parts of jiu-jitsu. So last little part of this, because the last 4 points will switch the switch the thought process. We're going to actually look at this from a different lens. But last little thought on this is when it comes to tape study, 2 thoughts. One, episode 323. I do not remember what it is called. I think it's called How to Watch Tape, but I'll link it in the description. And it is a super in-depth thing on how to study jiu-jitsu tape, how to study tape on Instagram, how to study, long-form content, and even how to pay attention to your coach, even how to get more out of like when you are at class and you're having trouble focusing. There's even a tip on how to get more out of that. And so, that I will link that in the description. Be sure to check that one out. But last little thing on the idea of studying tape and the idea of just the place we're at in jiu-jitsu is that it's tough because everybody else that you compete against has access to the exact same stuff. But the beauty of it is 99.9% of people are not disciplined at all, and they just don't do it. And they say, oh, well, I don't get anything out of it when I watch. Studying tape is a skill. It is not something that you are either good or bad at. It's something that you can develop over time. And so, it's just so easy for people to get into the wrong mindset when it comes to tape study, and especially when it comes to studying an opponent. Because studying an opponent, to this day for me, I could have beaten the opponent 10 times. But if I have somebody's name pop up and I have them first round and I go to just watch, and I don't want to get too deep on tape study, but what I'm looking for is matches that they've lost. I'm looking for how they lost those matches. Oh, he got butterfly swept. I have a terrible butterfly guard, so I'm probably not going to focus on that. Well, what else is there? Oh, he got put in X guard too. I have a much better X guard. I could probably sweep him from there. And so sometimes that's the mindset, especially if it's a good competitor. But every time I do that, every time guaranteed, totally get more competition anxiety than we'll actually experience at the tournament. That is where my competition anxiety peaks, when I am watching, when I'm studying somebody else's tape, when I have drawn them in the tournament. I don't know what it is, but it's not even like, it's not mental. I'm not saying to myself, oh, this guy looks tough. It is physical. It is like the fear body tingles are just flooding my body. And I expect it now. And I just like, yeah, this is part of the ritual of competing for me now, is that when I study this, I get nervous. I get that tingling all over my body, and I feel like I'm going to die. And that's just part of it. But I still do it. And I do it because I have done so many matches, and you can tell when a guy studies you and when a guy doesn't. I have had matches that I have lost to guys where I have felt just completely unstoppable. I've been on a tear, but they had a really good answer for what I had been doing a lot recently. And in the middle of the match, you'd get that little like click of like, oh, he just watched my YouTube channel. Crap. Oh, he just watched Flow. Crap. And you also, though, you get to go with a lot of guys that, because of the nerves of it, they were like, oh no, I don't do it. I don't like to do it. And you can overdo it. Of course, you can over focus on it. You can over obsess about who you're going with. Personally, I don't care about who I'm going with. It is just, I want to know how they lose. And that's how I focus on, that's what my study is for me now. But I just think so few people actually do it. It will make a big difference for you. Don't study, if they have a weird thing, right? If they play a weird loop choke that they catch everybody with, pay attention to that. But unless they have a weird thing, don't get obsessed about what they do. Don't be like, oh, he plays closed guard, so let's do a bunch of positional spars of closed guard. It's like, nah, dude, stay out of closed guard. Your knees do not touch the floor in this match. If he gets a foot on both hips, or on the outsides of both hips, you go one knee through the middle. No matter what, our knees do not touch the floor. If his feet get to the outsides, one knee through the middle. We got a game plan for closed guard now, and it's not to be there. Yeah, if he gets there, it's good to have positional spar and know how to deal with it, but we can't do that with every move, every position, because the next guy we have is a single leg X guy. So then do I need to be great at passing single leg X? No, I need to be great at not getting there. I need to be great at doing my best stuff. And so there are a lot of times that people will overstudy, but more often than not, it's that they don't study at all. And so try to study, try to get in the habit of it, try to study competitors that aren't your competitors, just study to get better. Now that you have adapted the idea of the performance day, you're going to get reps, you're going to get a chance to go, well, I could be better at this. This is where I'm losing. Now you study that. And again, like I said, all those things, the first 6 reasons, they really are full circle, and they really all 6 have to do with my handbook, The Competitor's Journey. So if those 6 of that first part of the episode makes sense to you, if you like that, you should absolutely sign up for that free ebook, because it's freaking free. Number 7, and the 7th reason, this I think might shock people. Hey guys, Josh here. I've been getting so much good feedback from the Rob Bernanke Instructional Jiu-Jitsu for Imbeciles that we have been giving away for free. But I have bad news. We're about to switch the free giveaway from our friends at BJJ Mental Models. And so if you have not gotten Rob Bernanke's Jiu-Jitsu for Imbeciles, this is a conceptual course on learning Jiu-Jitsu, and the amount of feedback that people have felt the need to give me. I didn't create this course. but still to tell me how much it has helped them has been so interesting. I mean, pretty quickly it made me go, oh, this is something that I should start to pay attention to even more than I realized. People love Rob Bernacki's way of explaining jiu-jitsu. And like I said, this is the last time we are running a commercial for this course. And so the next free giveaway is about to change in the coming weeks. But for right now, you can still get your free copy of Jiu-Jitsu for Imbeciles at bjjmentalmodels.com/I-suck. And be sure to check the link in the description and get in on that free course. Let's get back to the episode. Number 7, you keep losing in jiu-jitsu matches because you have no rituals. Weird, right? Weird, mystic, right? So here's the thing about rituals when it comes to competitors. There are competitors that are so superstitious in any sport, in any art, that it can go to their head if something doesn't go right. If, a grain of sand is, in their right shoe, it just ruins everything, right? And this idea is that you have to have these rituals, and that's the only way that you win. And it's not that case, because if it was, then nobody would ever win their first competition. It would always be the guy who's had more competitions, right? And so, but a lot of times you just go out and you learn to compete. But what's interesting is everybody seems to have a different way of liking to actually compete. Once they've been in it long enough and they've gotten enough reps of being a competitor, they start to form into their own competitor. Even if they've learned all these, even my students that have learned all my methods, they don't look like little Joshes when they compete. After doing it long enough, they start to become themselves. And that's really what this is about. That's really like what ritual is about. Is I don't think I have any rituals that can make me perform better than I am, but I do feel really good about the ritual that I have now and how it goes. And so I have a ton of episodes on this topic on competing and being present. We'll get into all that too, but this is what the actual physical cues. This is what my ritual is for competition. I told you guys 3 days out, I will do some video study, but I generally don't and this is just for me at this point in my competition career. I am probably not going to be adding a brand new move in a 6-week camp. It's just not long enough for me to add a brand new move, even a defense or an escape or whatever. And so that's why I don't worry about studying guys like 6 weeks out. I'm not going to see him go for a leg lock in a match and go, oh no, I don't know how to defend that leg lock, right? I don't know how to defend that specific thing. Now I need to get reps of defending that. You can always do refresher things, but it's just like that 3 days out. Usually that's when your brackets get released at IBJJFs. That's when I study. And I told you guys how that study generally looks. Now, really, for me, my ritual starts 24 hours from competition, from when I'm supposed to go on the mat. And so if I go at 10 a.m. on Saturday, it starts at 10 a.m. on Friday. And ideally, a couple hours right when I wake up Friday. But the first thought is that there's no energy waste. And that 24 hours, and we didn't dig into this, but the competitor's journey has a really cool method for showing up to tournaments recovered, not overtrained. And I just didn't want to put that in this. I've talked about overtraining so many different times. Wanted to try to give you guys some different things. But this also goes down to the last 24 hours of competing. I see so many people that are going to compete. They're so nervous that they let their energy out. They are talking too much. They're running around the tournament, chatting up everybody, taking pictures, doing cartwheels, jumping around, being loud and obnoxious, trying to draw attention to themselves to try to convince themselves that they're not nervous. But it's a nervous action. If you're not nervous, you don't freak out like that. If you're not nervous, you chill out and you wait till it's time to warm up, because there's nothing, in those last 24 hours, there is nothing that you can do that's going to change anything for the positive. There are only things that you can do that will change things for the negative in those last 24 hours. You are trying to rest as much as possible. For me, if I'm traveling for a tournament, I will be, unless I have to compete before then, I will be locked in my hotel room for the last 24 hours. I will, and this is, again, these are things for me. I would rather, if possible, if it's just me competing and I know exact time that I'm going to have to show up to the tournament, I will warm up and do all my other stuff at the hotel and then drive to the venue and then go compete. And these are things I do. But anyway, after the 24 hours of no energy waste starts, I'm not making a bunch of decisions. I don't even struggle to pick what I'm going to watch on TV. I just watch, I always watch Seinfeld before, in that 24 hour period, just because it's an easy pick, And again, it's just having to think about, where am I going to eat? What am I doing? What is this? Should I watch this? Should I think this? Do I do this? Those things waste energy. The more you can save every bit of energy, the better it's going to be when it's actually time to compete for you. It's hard to do. It makes you nervous to do it, but I'm telling you, it makes such a difference. I also, and this is for me personally, and these are just rituals, I always compete pretty fasted. And so I will generally eat 16 to 24 hours out of competition. And so that will be my last meal. And then from then on, it's just going to be liquids and electrolytes. And I know that this is not the best thing for everybody, but like I said, I've competed for 17 years. This is what my ritual is. I do my breath work 2 to 3 hours out. That is Wim Hof breathing. I will link that breath work video in the description. It's 15 minutes long, and you just go through that video one time, 3 hours out from the competition. Then I warm up about an hour out, maybe even an hour and a half. Try to keep that warmth the whole time. Then the whole time during that, we will have old playlist, the Old Faithful going on. And the other thing, I didn't put that. After my last meal, I always have some type of gummy candy. Used to always be Swedish Fish, but then I started to experiment with other types of candy to see if I had more success. The most success I've ever had were the Haribo gummies, but was it like the 100th anniversary? It was some crazy high anniversary, and they had like a blue gummy bear in them that they didn't usually have. I haven't seen them in a while lately, which is discouraging, because that is best performances of my life, no doubt, came from those gummies. And so, those are pretty much, I have my warm up, my playlist down to my last 15 minutes, which is just going to be that I will not sit or stand for any period too long. You get kind of lightheaded when you do that. And that's my ritual. The playlist, I probably had the same playlist for the last 4 years. That hasn't changed. Few things have changed over the last 3 years for me on this. It's been pretty locked in, but I still will always experiment with different gummy bears and things of that nature. But those are the things for me and the rituals for me that just help me stay present. And that is reason number 8 that you keep losing, is that you are not present. And this is something that we've talked about 1 million times, and still it's not even close to enough, is the idea of, we have this, it was first just a saying, and it was that champions stay present. Now it is a actual course on simplifyingjujitsu.com. But this idea of being present in a tournament, what most competition looks like to most people is their mind is in the match, just playing the match over and over and over and over in their head in like really weird scenarios where you're in really weird positions and the points are weird and everything, and you just do it over and over and over until you get to the competition, until you actually get to the match. And then generally none of that stuff even happens. Generally those thoughts didn't help you at all, and if anything, they wasted energy. And so when it comes to being present, if you're going to focus on the match, you only focus on the first exchange. I want to arm drag. I want to collar drag. I want to grip and then pull guard, right? That's what your focus on. So when you're repeating in your head what you're going to do, that's what you repeat, because your job is to just get into that mode of you're just doing jiu-jitsu. That means that you're present, that you're not focused on anything else. You know, when we talk about to our friends at work, like the best part about jiu-jitsu, it is that you get to be present. You know, you don't always say it like that, but it's like, yeah, it's like yoga, but you're fighting, right? You don't think about anything else. You just think about the choke that you're dealing with. That's being present. And competitors need that, not just in the moment for the match, because when you've been not present the whole day, it's very hard to recenter. It's very hard to just take a breath and go, oh, I'm present again, right? You know how your days feel. When your day starts to get out of hand, you're like, crap, everything sucks. There's nothing that is good. I can't slow down. I can't stop. And that's how the competition feels when your mind is anywhere but being present. And so when you're warming up, if your legs burn, you enjoy that moment. What are you going to do? You know, there's nothing else you can do. You don't think about, oh, my legs burn so bad, what if I can't compete? That's not the moment. It doesn't matter. Your job is to warm up. Maybe you're having to cut weight and you're like, oh, what if I'm too tired to compete? Doesn't matter. Your job is to make weight right now. You stay in the moment. And I have a 3 hour, I think it's 3 hours plus, course called Champion Stay Present, where we break down every single individual detail that comes with being a good competitor, that comes with being in the moment and performing at your best like the best competitors do, being able to flip that switch and say, I am a great competitor now. I can trust that I have built this ritual that will allow me to win. And also, I wasn't going to do this, but if you guys on the competitor's journey, I put a coupon code. The coupon code is HERO. If you use the code HERO, HERO, you get 20% off Champion Stay Present from simplifyingjiujitsu.com. I wasn't going to give you guys that, but you've listened for freaking ever. I've been talking forever about this crap. And so, yeah, if you guys are interested in that idea of how to stay present to be a better competitor, check out Champion Stay Present, 20% off with promo code HERO. There's a link in the description. Now, number 9, the 9th reason that you keep losing is that you try to reinvent your jiu-jitsu right before the tournament. Hey, I'm going to go for a flying armbar in this match. Have you ever done a flying armbar before? No, but it'll surprise him. Well, yeah, that's because it's stupid. He will be surprised how dumb you are. He will be surprised that you decided that you were going to never practice something and then in front of all your friends and family, jump upside down and slam yourself on the head with no repetition. Honestly, you are going to get exactly what you deserve. And I will, as your coach, pretend like I care when the medics are pulling you off the mat because you concussed yourself and not only embarrassed your family, not only embarrassed your team, but worst of all, embarrassed me. When you could have just pulled guard, tied him up in your spider guard, hit him with your spider guard armbar that you do to everybody, the move you've practiced a million times. Don't do that. Stop doing that. That is anxiety. That is anxiety. That's all it is. You are freaking out and you go, maybe I should do something idiotic. Don't. Just do what you do. Do what you've practiced. Do what you know how to do. I know that I'm yelling at you. I'm yelling at me too. I still do this. I can't help it. This is why I'm angry. Me and my coach have this joke. I don't want to tell you, but my coach has like a few takedowns that are basically unstoppable. Really, one that's basically unstoppable. It's not a blast double leg, okay? It isn't. I've never seen him shoot a blast double leg, but I'm going to use that so I can at least hide what his secret move is, even though every match that he ever has, he hits the same move. But we're going to say it's blast double leg. So this is how it'll work. He'll be getting ready for a competition. He'll be feeling really good. He'll have these, we'll start to study his guys a couple days out, and he'll go, Josh, because I'm going to coach him in this. He'll be like, Josh, hey, I think I'm going to try to go collar tie to ankle pick to this, to that, to arm drag to this, to back take to this. And I'll go, but Kyle, every match we get 2 points by hitting a blast double leg. Why not just hit the blast double leg? And he goes, yeah, you're right. Thanks, man. And then he goes out and he hits the blast double leg. And what's funny about that is I will always make fun of him for doing it. I was competing in Indianapolis this year, and Kyle's coaching me. I had shot a low single and taken 2 guys down. And Kyle walks up to me, and third match, I know this guy is looking to pull. And Kyle says, you feel good. You looked really good. I can't believe you won that match. I thought that guy was better than you. I'm like, thanks, Kyle. And then he goes, same thing for this guy, right? And I go, no. I think I'm gonna pull guard on this guy. And there's this pause, and Kyle's just looking at me, and he goes, why? Why would you do that? And I go, well, he wanted to pull guard, and so I'd like shock him if I pulled guard, like surprise him. Like, what if I did something stupid that would shock him? And Kyle goes, you're a good competitor. You trust yourself. But if it was me, I would just do what's been working all day, and these guys haven't been able to stop. And I went, yeah, you're right, coach. Thanks. And then shot the low single. The mindset, it happens to everybody. You get tricked because competition is scary. The more you can be present, the more you can learn to deal with this, the more you can have performance days and get reps of this, the better off you're going to be, the more you're going to win tournaments. Now let's look at the 10th and final reason that you keep losing. And this, I think, is a huge one for a lot of people. You think that harder rounds always means better rounds. When it comes to competition, you think if I just trained harder. The first training method that I ever heard for competition was like, well, guys, we got a competition come up. Time to take things seriously. Like, oh, okay, sweet. It's like, what does that mean? I don't know. We just roll harder, roll more. And yeah, that's fine. But is that the best way to win? Is that the best way to get better? And I don't think it is. Understanding that it's not always the harder rounds that's better for you. Sometimes it is. Sometimes you absolutely need harder rounds. Sometimes the reason you are losing in competition is cardio. You aren't training hard enough. You aren't putting yourself in scenarios where you are getting actually tired, where you have to still perform. Because that's what competition is no matter what shape you're in, is you being tired and it not freaking mattering, and you have to just go perform regardless. And I just think that it's this idea of like the goal of the tournament is to perform at your best. It is not to hurt yourself before. It is not to train so close to the tournament that you are not as sharp. Like, yeah, you could still win. But honestly, for me, I really don't care about winning. I care about performing at my best. I used to care so much about winning. I used to be like, yeah, if you let me choose between winning this way or winning that way, I wouldn't care. A win's a win. I wouldn't care. But now it's like, I don't care what the score is. I don't care any of the other stuff. But if I feel as though I was not performing like myself, that's what I get frustrated about. Even if I go, well, it didn't matter, I could still beat these guys. These guys sucked anyway. That's not, that is a deep problem that will come out against a tougher competitor. And so I've got to be focused in that way to say that, hey, this is not just about beating myself up in the gym so then people can think like, oh, look how hard this guy trained. I don't know why he only lasted 3 minutes in his round. He did 32 rounds last night and he looked great. That's why. I just feel like sometimes I'm a crazy person on this planet of jiu-jitsu. It's like I'm the only person that sees how overtrained we all are before competition, yet nobody cares. You know who's not overtrained before competition? Dudes that are on steroids. They can train the night before, but you're not. You can't. It doesn't make sense. The goal is to win the day that we signed up for the competition. It's not to have trained really hard the day before. And so it's like it proves nothing that you wasted your energy, whether you win or lose. It proves that you weren't really focused on performing at your best. There's this quote from the Bro Code, and it's like dying while trying to lift the heaviest weight possible proves nothing except for how awesome you are. And so, if you want it to have a pre-programmed excuse, well, like, yeah, I trained way too hard this week and I'm so tired and that's why I lost. Yeah, it's your responsibility to make sure you don't freaking do that. So the idea of it's literally this finding this balance, and it's different for everybody. This balance of I need to train hard enough that I'm in very good shape and I'm able to perform deep into rounds, but I can't train so hard that I am not recovered for the competition and my ability to perform is not going. If you've ever had a tournament where I used that term before, like you feel like you were in quicksand, especially your warm up, you go to jog, you feel like you're quicksand. You go to compete, you feel like you're in quicksand. Sometimes that is simply nerves, but what I found is most of the time that is because you are overtrained. And so I'll just give you this tip on overtraining, and this is one last callback to the competitor's journey because there's way more information on this in the competitor's journey. But when it comes to overtraining, when it comes to solving that problem as a competitor, if you take the last full week of competition, or even 10 days before a competition, and you say, I will only roll live if I feel 100%. That is the only times I will roll live. Because the problem in the 10 days out is you're in this mode of training so much and you're in really good shape. And so your body almost needs that training, or you feel tense. You feel like, man, I want to just run 1,000,000 miles, right? And that is saving your energy. That is starting that. And again, it's balance. So you go into this idea of, I will only train when I feel 100%. And you do that. Okay, well, Wednesday, I feel 100%. I'm only 4 days out from the tournament, but I feel great. You train hard. Well, then Thursday, Friday, you notice, I'm a little sore. I'm a little slower. I'm 80%. Then you don't train hard. You can drill. You can designate win. You can do whatever you want, but you don't train with 100% intensity unless you have access to 100% of your ability to perform in that last week. Other days, in the weeks leading up, like we said, we're doing the rule of thirds. A third of the time, you're going to feel terrible in your training. It's just part of it. But in that last week, we're trying to make sure we're trying to give ourselves the best chance to perform at our best in the moment. And to me, not being overtrained is a huge thing. And it could be the reason that a lot of you guys are still losing in competition. And so, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. This is one I've been planning on doing. I really planned on doing it, turned it into a book, and then was like, okay, now I guess I'll actually do the episode. And so, of course, if you like this, check out the Competitor's Journey. It is completely free at simplifyingjujitsu.com. And also, if you really need help in the mindset, that Champion Stay Present course that I did is everything that I know about mindset as clear and concise as I can deliver it. And so, and you can get 20% off with promo code HERO on that. Both links are in the description. Besides that, I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I hope you win your next tournament. And I hope that today's episode helps you guys suck just a little bit less at jiu-jitsu. Have a great day, guys.